Today, we're digging into a policy that really shapes what millions of us see online every single day: YouTube's rules on violent extremism. It's a super complex and often controversial subject, but we're going to break it all down together. Okay, let's dive right in.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? It's the tightrope YouTube has to walk every single day. If they get it wrong, dangerous propaganda can just spread like wildfire. But if they're too strict, they risk silencing vital journalism and important documentary work. So where in the world is that line actually drawn? Well, that's what this whole policy tries to define.
So to really get a handle on the rules, we've got to understand the why behind them first. Before we get into all the specific don'ts, let's take a look at the core mission that really drives this entire thing.
At the end of the day, it's pretty simple. It's all about safety. The policy is basically designed to be a shield, to protect the entire YouTube community, and that means viewers like you and all the creators on the platform from content that could stir up violence or promote dangerous organizations.
All right, let's get to the heart of it, the red lines. What kind of content is just flat out banned? YouTube's policy lays out some very specific rules, and honestly, seeing them side by side with what is allowed is probably the clearest way to understand them.
So the first major rule is all about preventing the platform from being used to, idolize figures connected to terrorism or major criminal groups. The key phrase here, and this is really important, is in a way that encourages others. It's all about stopping that cycle of inspiration for violence. And this comparison right here really shows you the difference in action. A video calling a terrorist leader a hero is a clear violation because it's glorifying them. But a historical documentary that details their actions, including their crimes, that's seen as educational, and it's allowed. It all comes down to the intent and the presentation.
The next red line is recruitment. This one is pretty straightforward. YouTube just cannot be used as a megaphone to enlist people into violent, extremist, or criminal organizations. It's about shutting down that pipeline completely. Again, just look at the contrast. A direct call to action, join our group and fight, is a blatant violation. But a news report that analyzes how a group recruits people, well, that's considered journalism. One is a recruitment tool, the other is a tool for public understanding. Big difference.
This third rule tackles a particularly dark corner of the internet: the celebration of real-world violence. The policy explicitly forbids any content that glorifies or praises tragic events where people have been hurt or killed.
And here's a really modern example. Modifying a video game to reenact and glorify a real-life shooting is absolutely not allowed. It turns a horrific tragedy into entertainment. On the flip side, news coverage that reports on the event to inform the public is, of course, a critical function of the press and is permitted. Okay, so we've seen the clear red lines, but what about all the gray areas? This is where the single most important concept in this entire policy comes into play, because not all content that even touches on these topics gets taken down. This is the EDSA exception. If the content has a clear educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic purpose, it might be allowed to stay up. This is basically YouTube's way of trying to distinguish between content that promotes harm and content that promotes understanding. But, and this is the crucial part, the responsibility is on the creator. It's not enough for your intent to be educational. The policy requires you to make that purpose crystal clear, often right in the video itself, or in the title or the description, so that both viewers and YouTube's own reviewers can understand why this content is being shown.
So we have the rules and we have the critical exceptions. But, a policy is only as strong as its enforcement. So what actually happens when a creator crosses one of these lines?
YouTube uses what they call a 3-strike system. For a first-time offense, you usually just get a warning. It's like a heads up, no real penalty. The second time, you get a strike, and that comes with restrictions, like you might not be able to upload for a week. And if you get 3 strikes within a 90-day period, well, your channel is at risk of being terminated completely. But it's not just about strikes. YouTube has other tools in its toolbox. They can just remove the video, or they can slap an age gate on it so younger viewers can't see it, or they can turn off monetization. And for the really severe violations, like posting a propaganda video straight from a designated terrorist group, they can skip the strikes altogether and just terminate the channel on the spot.
Whew, we've covered a lot of ground. The rules, the exceptions, the consequences. But if you remember just one thing from this entire explainer, it really should be this next point.
On YouTube, context is everything. Seriously. Is a video glorifying violence, or is it examining it? Is it recruiting for a dangerous group, or is it reporting on their tactics?
You could have the exact same footage in two different videos. One could be a policy violation, and the other could be perfectly acceptable news coverage. It all comes down to the context provided by the creator.
And that brings us right back to our central challenge. This system is designed to be flexible, but that flexibility, it also creates a massive gray area. So the ultimate question remains, can a single policy, no matter how well-intentioned, truly protect millions of users from harm without silencing the difficult but necessary stories that help us understand our world?